It's about 7:15 in the morning here, and we're in the garage. Get some work done on the Honda Accord yesterday, the wife's car. So I no longer have that pile of parts and stuff sitting over here. I basically did everything. So I really was on a time crunch, even though I spent all day doing it. I did not replace the water pump. It wasn't leaking, but I figured if I was gonna do the accessory belt and stuff, I would replace the water pump, but I didn't. So it's gonna be here for future use. I'll probably replace the serpentine belt sometime in the near future. It's pretty easy, and then I just have extra filter for future use. And then, not sure why I had so much antifreeze, but it only takes like a bottle and a half. So we'll have a little bit of surplus storage. So this was my most valuable tool here. It's probably this cardboard. Look at all that dust and grime and stuff. So I'm gonna have to clean this stuff up. I did replace this thing, 80,000 miles, and it's 8 years old, so 2015. So these are all original brake pads. Didn't get a lot of driving in the initial years, but in subsequent years it did. And I want to say about 20 to 25,000 miles on it is just like interstate mileage. So yeah, looks like the brake pads, they worn down evenly. So didn't really notice anything significant. There was one that had a slight, where it's just eating more on one side, but you can see where it's not very far from the squeak. So these are probably at like 3 mil. They're wearing down evenly. So replace them with genuine Honda parts, to include all these clips. Time to get replaced. Same thing for the rear ones, the rear brakes. You can see, looks pretty even. This one has a little bit of meat on it, but it's definitely, I just elected to replace all of them. Plus, the wife buys the parts. Well, at least this time I was like, you need to buy the parts, as in you need to provide me the cash to buy the parts. And then I'll do the fixes. Really, I was just joking with her, but she gave me $1,000, which pretty much amounted to all the parts that I needed. And then I had the fluid on hand and all that stuff. Our new retaining clip came with the brake, so that's cool. They didn't like piecemeal it, so this thing, we didn't have to buy it separate. We bought the shim separate. But yeah, one thing that I will say that I will purchase. So there's a couple things that I was working on the Honda, the Tacoma, that I came across, and I was like, it would be nice to have. But one of the things is a brake piston wind back tool. So I have a set, one of those like little master set. But at that point I was really frustrated with the rear brakes, partly because I had left the parking brake on and I didn't disconnect the ABS and or the parking brake wires. So I don't know why. I think I was just fatigued from the heat, but it was a struggle to get it off, and then a struggle to get it back on the rear driver side. And in the passenger rear, I kind of learned from my mistakes and I got it better, but nonetheless, I had to walk away from that job at least once, come back, and then, reattack. So I ended up using this with my, with a 6-inch extension, 3/4 inch extension, and my ratchet. And I will say, trigger this light again. Whenever this light goes out, kind of gets slightly dark if you're trying to make a video. I will say that I am gonna purchase, in fact, when I get done with this video, I'm gonna purchase the pneumatic wind back tool. from Master Cool. I saw it for $128, the cheapest online. But this was, when you're trying to hold it and you're not trying to pull on the brake cable and all this stuff, this thing is really annoying. I feel like those wind back things are just as bad as drum brakes. I don't know. Like, just depress the thing. I mean, you have the front ones that are depressible, if that's even a word, but you can depress the front ones, but the back ones you have to wind it back. I'm certainly not sure why the design is like that. And then the second thing that I ran into brake-wise was, well, I was using my Vessel, 2400 impactor tool with this long bit. I think I might have, this bit is too like pointy, but I got the driver's side, the passenger side front off, and then I went to the driver's side, and this happened. In fact, it took a bite out of it initially. And then I kept going, thinking I could get it to turn real quick. Did not. And I was like, I've always heard people talking about drilling these out. And I was like, sweet, I have step drill bits, but at the same time, I didn't want to go through that process. No one wants to do that stuff. So, and for those wondering, you know, you're gonna say, oh, well, these are on there just to hold them on the assembly line. Yeah, I get the concept, but I just like putting that stuff back if it came as is. But if you have a tool like this, I forget what it's called. I think Tecton makes one. It just slides into your air hammer, and it fits the same little bits. But this one is a little bit more beefy than, I think this is like a number 3 or 4 versus this is like a number 2. You can see it's slightly less pointy. It just fits in here. Whatever, so you can insert whatever bit you want. Like you can insert like a Torx or whatever. I don't know, whatever you need. Come on, set this tripod up. I'm trying to do this video actually. What I need to be doing is cleaning up because I got other stuff to do. You want to fall? All right, there we go. Yeah, I got other stuff to do, including doing a little bit of cleanup here. So yeah, you just insert it in here, and you insert it in your air hammer, and your standard air hammer chuck. It's not one of those larger shanks or anything. There you go. And yeah, while you hammer away, maybe 1 or 2 bursts, you turn lefty loosey, righty tighty. This actually spins out. This is actually threaded in, like you see. So you can remove it if it's impeding you, but the idea is that you're gonna get a crank on it as it's impacting. So even with this stripped out fastener, me just applying pressure to the fastener and turning was able to snag a little bit and turn it out. So that was the only big hiccup I came across per se. The rear Honda, they use those caliper bolts and stuff. It gets to be really tight with a parking brake cable. Like you can't even like get a torque wrench in there. So I just did the manual. I guess that's a good enough torque. Interesting. I didn't. You know what? I knew I went for one of these, so I have 2 of these. But yeah, same concept. No, Tecton makes one. I think Tecton is maybe this one. Yeah, so there's that. A whole lot going on. So did complete rotors, brake pads, and the accessories there, the retaining clips. Didn't do a whole lot of sanding and stuff, like grinding off the hub, because the face was relatively clean. Plus I was tired. I guess I could have done a better job cleaning up the brake dust, the old brake dust and stuff, but yeah. Yeah, and then I bled the brakes. It takes a 10mm. And it's a 6. Anyway, it takes your 10mm to bleed it. These Vim wrenches, blade breeder wrenches come in handy. On my little blade breeder, can't even talk, brake bleeder. I don't know what blade breeder is, but on my little brake bleeder, used it a couple of times. So at this point, it's kind of maybe slightly loosey goosey. So let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so this is the bottle, and then this is the end of it. You put on the brake nipple, just to prevent air, increase the likelihood of air not entering the system. I put some silicone paste on the end of it, some dielectric grease on the end of this when I'm bleeding the brakes. So I got that hack off somebody. I don't claim to have found that out myself. And then yeah, new rotors. I will say the rotors that I got they were genuine Honda, but these are original to the car, and they do look like they have a lot of meat on it. I didn't measure the thickness and all that stuff. It's kind of like a parts cannon type stuff where, yeah, I could have measured the thickness and I have the tool to measure the thickness and to do a run out and see if there's warpage or anything, but sometimes it just makes sense to just change them. And these look like they have plenty of life left on them. I'm not saying that these necessarily needed to be replaced, but replace them. Probably the next time, I won't get to replacing them. Of course, I did a valve cover gasket, so I needed some Honda Bond, so I had some in there. It came in handy. Yeah, new rotors. Old coolant. Well, these are empty jugs. Gotta empty out this coolant stuff. Engine air filter box, not too dirty, but nonetheless you can see it's not really gonna get cleaned up. Get a new one in there. Same with new spark plugs, the 4-cylinder. So this one is actually, they're actually pretty worn down, I guess. So yeah, place these little things on the battery. Battery was good. And then this, I was surprised at how dirty. I'm not sure where she parks during the day, but it must be under a tree because this is dirty. This is the cabin air filter. It's pretty dirty. I didn't use my bleeder here. I didn't use the Astro coolant bleeder here. I just used the spill freeze funnel. Run the thermostat on, or run the AC on high, the heat on high, forcing the thermostat to open, the fans to run, and purging the thing. City Fly. And then this is the one that fit for me, the blue one on a Honda. And it just fits in there. I really like the genius design of this thing. It just plugs, and whatever fluid you have left in there, you can just trap it in. Like I just tossed it in there because the 2 bottles of coolant I have, they're sealed, so I wasn't gonna contaminate that. But yeah, all this stuff can get cleaned up, put away, and then this mess of stuff. Like I said, by the bricks, 1 bottle, 0.3 per brake. That's how I usually do it. And then in here, this is the valve cover gasket was the most significant thing going on for this job. It was leaking. There's this gasket and the cover that you also replace. So I bought a kit, actually. I bought a gasket kit. It comes with a lot of gaskets. I'll be honest, I don't know what half of them is meant for. I know like some of them are like, intake exhaust gaskets and stuff. And then obviously the lower block right here. But even like these are like spark plug tube seals. These aren't meant to fit my car, or the 2015. These are like probably an older generation where they have like a Torx screw to hold them in. So I'm not sure what happens if the spark plug seal or tube seal starts leaking. Probably just have to replace that plastic cover in its entirety. But yeah, I'll hold on to all these gaskets. Try to keep them organized as possible with a part number, because at least I can go back and look online and see what this part number is associated with on the car. Because, I mean, unless you're like a mechanic or something, these are like code. So yeah, like these, I'm pretty sure these are for like intakes or something, some kind of intake. It's like metal, or maybe it's for the, what do you call it, the, where the airbox goes, the, yeah, anyway. So we'll keep these handy and not bend them or anything. In fact, I'm gonna leave them in this box just to keep them from getting damaged. But yeah, we have gasket in here. In fact, this one came with 2 sets of gaskets that were similar for the valve cover. Like I have a new one right here of that same one that I just showed you. And then this is like a valve cover gasket. I think they were like V6 and V5. I'm not sure, is that version 6, version 5? Let's see, I use one of them. It's on the little tab. Yeah, I'm not sure, but anyway. So there's that kit. Entire gasket kit. So yeah, the plan is to clean all this stuff up, wipe stuff down, take the oil out of the garage, put it in the shed where it's open, because it just feels like the air is saturated with oil in here. You know, fill up those old coolant bottles and then take them to the recycling center. What else is going on around here? Yeah, I gotta do the whole toolbox cleaning thing. And then yeah, I need to write up all the things I did with the associated mileage. Always default to my Harbor Freight lights. I like these things. They last long enough and they're not bad. But I'm gonna take out all this trash. Like I said, the only thing that I really came across was the brake wind back tool. And I'm certainly gonna buy the air wind back one. Just to get that. But luckily I knew I had one of these and I was like, okay, let me go grab it. Not looking forward to cleaning up this stuff with all this brake dust on it, but absolutely need to clean it up. You can see this stuff just like, it causes stuff to like change color and just gets really messy. So I'm not gonna put this back in my toolbox without cleaning this stuff up. But all in all, I'm excited about getting rid of some of the surplus fluids and stuff I have, because that's gonna free up space in my toolbox for more tools, even though there's not a whole lot that I need at this point. Yeah, I think that's all I did. So let's see what I did. Trying to think. Valve cover gasket seal. I did drain the oil and, drain the engine oil filter. That was done. New filter. Did a transmission fluid drain and fill. So that was a CVT transmission. What else? Obviously replace all the little washers. What else did I do after that? Did the brakes, rotors and brakes all the way around. Try to think. Topped off the washer stuff. Did a brake bleed. Did a coolant drain and fill. Next time I'm gonna try to do an actual flush. What else? And then, checking the lights, make sure all the turn signals, all that stuff work. Wipers are good. We'll see when it starts raining if I need to replace them, but I don't like replacing wipers when it's like 100 degrees outside. It's like they just dry out anyway, so we'll replace those in the rainy season. I'm trying to think. While I'm thinking about it, who steals stuff from their spouse? And this is a acetone nail polish remover. At least that's what she says, woman owned. That's what she uses for. I use it for cleaning up paint, and like I used it up to clean up the valve cover gasket yesterday. And I believe if I go in my box here, yeah, it's right here. I don't think she knows this is missing, but it's clear nail polish for like wires or something. If you pierce a wire, you can just like seal it up so it's like back to being watertight. What else did I do on the car? I'm trying to think. Brakes, clean out the battery, make sure it's not corroded, new cabin engine air filters, new spark plugs, and like I said, all the stuff that it was previously mentioned. So yeah, that was a long day, but I'm glad I got it done. Only reason I got it done, even after being exhausted, was that I was using a lift, and this lift, the car is with a toolbox right there, the car sticks out of the garage, and as such, I have to have the garage door open because I've tried it before to get it in here, and it's so tight. It is really tight. It's possible, but it just takes a lot of like back and forth as far as like the happy balance between the lift arms, enough space in the front, and the garage door not, contacting the car on its way up or down. And subsequently, when the car is going up, when the car is being lifted, it doesn't make contact with anything on the garage door. So I elected to just like leave it open with the garage door fully open, so I could only lift it yay high. Felt like I was under a standard creeper, or a standard car on jack stands versus a lift. But yeah, we're gonna start throwing stuff away in the trash. The hardest cleanup is all that stuff over there, which that's where I'm gonna get that a tub of towel, and I'm gonna wipe stuff down, and hopefully in the next hour I'll be able to be done with this. And then the floor, I was thinking about this yesterday, especially when I had the car on the lift. I'm using this little drain pan for the coolant. It was about, 2-3 feet off the ground, and it was splattering. And so I just lowered the car closer to that while on the lift, right? So that was really convenient. But the Swiss tracks, like all that gunk and stuff gets trapped under your stuff. So every time I had a little hiccup, because the moment you start like working with oil, changing oil, you're gonna have an oil spill. It's gonna happen. So my floor, whenever I spill something on it, I try to clean it up. All these spots are from like probably water or something, or the kids spilling Gatorade or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm actually gonna come in here with a mop and get this floor kind of mopped up and looking nice again. It's pretty nice, but trying to keep it as nice as possible. I still need to seal the floor though, but I was thinking about the Swiss track, like that's why I didn't go with it, because it traps all that gunk and dirt and grime under there. So really, it looks clean up top, but beneath it's just screaming for help. But to each their own. I'm not opposed to it, but that's just one of the downsides to it. And the final thing I did was run a scan. Run a scan on the car. Didn't have any codes or anything. So, yeah. All in all, I think it was a job well done. I was thinking, man, I don't know if I like this mechanic thing, but it sure is handy helping yourself. But it's definitely tedious work. And probably one of the most tedious part about it is like the space. If I had a 2-post lift and just was able to go around the car, lift it in full up top, not like bending down and like, bending your knee and standing up, all that stuff, it would be way easier to, break stuff loose. But even working back here, the car, I had very little space right here. In fact, I was sitting on this platform yesterday. I was sitting right there because the brakes were like literally right there. And that's because I knew I wanted more space on the back side of the lift to maneuver and do stuff. But anyway, this is a quick video. I'm gonna do some cleanup, some putting away of tools. yeah, we'll see what we get accomplished today. Definitely have some stuff to do, but should be good. I decided to keep, at least one thing I decided to keep in here are these washers. So my plan is to keep these washers in here, and over time I'll see if really it's cost effective to do my own service on a car. It probably is. I mean, there's a happy medium between cost effective and enjoying and actually knowing what's going on with your vehicle. But I'll keep those. If someone ever asks me, like, does it make sense for you to have all these tools? I don't know. An oil change or two. An oil change or two doesn't justify having, all these like huge pieces of equipment and stuff, but it's part of the job if you want to do more. A lot of this stuff is like specialized, so you're not gonna use it. Like, let's be honest, I don't use that stuff half the time. A little last honorable mention is this Delta grinder, or whatever, grinding wheel. It's an 8-inch grinder. I've had it for like a few years now, but never really had a convenient spot to put it. It was in the shed, so I brought it out. I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually use it in here because, I mean, really, you're gonna create a lot of mess. So I just put it here. My vise is right here, so yeah, that's the garage. That's what's been going on around the garage as of yesterday. Yeah, went through a lot of Gatorade. That's just one bottle. It was so hot, but it's just good to hydrate. Anyway, we're gonna get this stuff cleaned up. I still need to determine if I'm gonna keep this powertrain lift fully assembled or not. The pieces aren't fully like connected. They're just like, I mean, you can see it shakes because I just have the bolts in place. They're not tightened down because you're supposed to grease to fit the moving joints. But we'll see if I leave this up here. It's one of those things, again, you're not going to use a whole lot, and it's so specialized that if I ever have to use it, I could probably reassemble it, and it would be good to go, and it will save me space just by breaking it down. Because it's so specialized. I would have to plan out. I'd probably, honestly, if I was doing something like that in here, I would have to probably take out half of the stuff in here. If I was doing like a serious engine job, probably just clear out all the stuff that don't have a need to be in here. Put them outside if it's not raining or something, like in the summer months or something. So it's doable. Clearing stuff out just to make room, having more room to work, to maneuver that stuff. So yeah, anyway, I'm just blabbering, and as you can see, nothing is getting done. So as me always say, like, I hate it too.